Hello students. Under the aegis of Director General Higher Education Haryana, myself Dr. Neeru, Assistant Professor in Zoology, teaching in Shrimati Aruna Asaf Ali Government PG College Kalka, will discuss with you type study of rat part 1 today. First of all, I will tell you about the systematic position of rat. Rat belongs to the phylum Chordata because it has all the three distinct chordate characters, which are dorsal hollow nerve cord, presence of notochord and gill slits. Subphylum is Vertebrata because of presence of vertebral column in rat. It belongs to class Mammalia because of presence of hair and mammary glands in it. Subclass is Eutheria because placenta is present in rat. Order Rodentia because of long upper incisors. And the type we will study today is Rattus rattus. Now first of all, I will tell you about the distribution and habitat of rat. Rat is commonly found in Southeast Asia and Central Asia. It is almost found everywhere in the earth except at poles. Rat is a fossorial animal. It means it makes burrows in the houses, lives in holes. It is also found in cultivated fields, forests, godowns, etc. Now we will discuss the habits of rat. Rat is mainly omnivorous. They feed on human eatables, eggs, meat, pigs, prawns, fishes, etc. They are mainly fossorial animal, means they make burrows. They are mostly active during night time, so they are mostly nocturnal, but can be seen active during daytime too. Locomotion is mainly cursorial and digitigrade. They mainly move through digits. They show quick movements and they are good swimmers too. They are prolific breeders. Frequent breeding can be seen in the rats और they have a good litter size यानी एक टाइम पे वो 5 से 8 young ones reproduce करते हैं and young rats they start reproducing when they are just 10 weeks old. Rats show seasonal migrations too, means during rains and winters they remain in godowns, houses, etc. But in summers they shift to gardens, fields. Our main enemies of rat are snakes, cats, mongoose and birds of prey. Now we will discuss the external characters of rat. Rat has an elongated and cylindrical body and whole body is covered by the soft, pigmented, densely grown hairs which are called as pelage. Body is mainly divided into head, short neck, trunk and tail. Head is produced anteriorly into a blunt snout, which ends into a terminal mouth. The upper lip of the rat has a vertical slit on it. Due to this, incisor teeth always remain exposed, and this lip is called as hair lip. External nares is present just above the mouth near the tip of the snout. Eyes are situated on the sides of the head and the eyes possess movable upper and lower eyelids and the nictitating membrane is there around the eyes and it is supported by a semilunar cartilage and eyelashes are very fine and short. On the top of the head there are a pair of a rounded and movable external ears which is called as pinna. They are also cartilaginous. And in certain regions of head, long sensory hairs are present which are called as vibrissae. Head is joined to the trunk by a distinct neck and neck allows the free movement of head in all the directions. Trunk is mainly divided into thorax and abdomen. And females have 12 nipple teats. 3 pairs of are in the thoracic region and they are called as pectoral teats, and 3 pairs are in the abdominal region and they are called as inguinal teats. And on the posterior part of the ventral abdomen, 3 external openings are present: anus, vagina, and urethra. Rat also possess 2 paired limbs, forelimb and hind limbs, and both the limbs are pentadactyl, means they have 5 digits. Forelimb has backwardly directed upper arm, which is called as brachium, and one is the forearm, which is also called as antebrachium, and hand is called as manus, which comprises of a wrist, which is called as carpals, and metacarpals are there, and 5 digits are there with claws. Thumb is reduced. Hands possess also walking pads. Hind limbs are much longer as compared to the forelimbs. Or each hind limb has a thigh, shank, distal foot, which is also called as pes, and the foot has an ankle or tarsus, metatarsals, and 5 clawed. In male, testes are present in the posterior abdominal region and they descend into a thin-walled scrotal sac during the breeding season. And near the end of the scrotum, penis is present, which contains the urinogenital opening. Tail is a long, slender, tapering, and it is covered by the overlapping scales. And from the beneath of each scale, hairs and bristles emerge out. Anus, as you can see in this diagram, is a small circular aperture present under the base of the tail, and it is guarded by the external sphincter. Now we will discuss the body wall of the rat. Body wall is formed of 3 layers: skin, muscular layer, and peritoneum. Now let's study skin, which is also called as integument. Skin is elastic and waterproof, and it is mainly made up of 2 layers. Outer is called as epidermis and inner is called as dermis. Now epidermis. Epidermis is ectodermal in origin and it is formed of stratified epithelium, means epithelium is in layers, and it is made up of 4 layers mainly: stratum germinativum, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, and stratum corneum. स्ट्रेटम जर्मिनेटिवम जो है वो इनर मोस्ट लेयर होती है और it is secreted by the underlying dermis and it always in contact with the basement membrane, and it is also called as the Malpighian layer, and this layer is formed of undifferentiated mitotically active columnar cells, and this layer gives rise to all the upper layer cells. Next layer is the stratum spinosum, which is made up of a layer of thick and flattened cells, and second is the stratum granulosum. It contains keratohyalin granules in its cells, and this layer is mainly developed in palms and soles. And the outermost layer is called as stratum corneum, which is made up of thin cells which are dead and fully keratinized. So it forms the outer horny layer and mainly well developed in soles, palms, which are thick in size. Next is the dermis. Dermis is mainly formed of loose connective tissue, different fibers, blood vessels, lymph vessels, nerve fibers, muscle fibers, and pigment cells. And some mast cells are also present in the dermis, which form the whole matrix and they secrete the heparin, histamine, and serotonin. In this diagram, you can see the upper epidermis, next is the dermis, and below the epidermis and dermis is the subcutaneous layer, which has specialized cells, which are called as adipocytes, and they deposit the fat in them. And this layer is also called as paniculus adiposus. Now the derivatives of integument. Different derivatives arise from the skin, like hair. Hair is the modification of the stratum corneum, and as you know, the presence of hair is a characteristic feature of class Mammalia. Each hair is formed of a long shaft, root, and bulb. In this diagram, you can see the internal structure of the hair, cross section of the hair. Hair outer on the outer side, cuticle is there, which is made up of overlapping scales. Middle cortex is there, which is made up of compressed cells and pigment, and inner is the medulla. It forms the central core and the air spaces. Scales. Another derivative of skin is scale, and these scales are mainly epidermal and present in tail only. Next derivative is the claws. Claws are present on the tip of all the digits of the rat, and another derivatives are the different type of glands. एपिडर्मिस और डर्मिस से बहुत सारे ग्लैंड्स भी प्रेजेंट होते हैं. उनमें से एक है सिबेशियस ग्लैंड. सिबेशियस ग्लैंड्स जो है दे आर द फ्लावर शेप्ड ग्लैंड्स, and they are mainly present near the hair papilla. Or these glands are simple, branched, and sac-like, and their secretion is mainly called as sebum. और सीबम में क्या होता है, डिफरेंट ऑयल्स होते हैं, फैट्स होते हैं, वैक्सेस एंड कोलेस्ट्रॉल होते हैं, और इनकी वजह से हेयर्स जो हैं दे रिमेन स्मूथ एंड सॉफ्ट, एंड दे आल्सो प्रोवाइडेड स्पेसिफिक ऑर्डर टू द एनिमल. एक स्पेसिफिक स्मेल आती है एनिमल से. इट इज आल्सो ड्यू टू द सिक्रीशन ऑफ दी सिबेशियस ग्लैंड्स व्हिच इज द सीबम. Next gland is the sweat glands. They are also simple glands. They are coiled in nature in tubular type, and they are present deep in the dermis. But they are the derivatives of the epidermis, but they are present deep in the dermis, and they open out by a long coil duct, and their opening on the outer surface is called as sweat pore, and they also play a role in excretion, and they mainly excrete out water with urea and inorganic salts. Next glands are the ceruminous glands. They are the modified sweat glands. They secrete the wax, which is also called as cerumen in the external ear canals. And they protect this secretion, जो है wax, it protects the tympanum and prevents the entry of insects in the external auditory canal. Next glands are the meibomian glands. They are the modified sebaceous glands, and they are mainly located in the eyelids at the base of the hair follicles, and their oily secretion forms a layer on the surface of cornea, and it इसकी वजह से there is a frictionless movement of the eyelids. The next important gland are the mammary glands. It is the characteristic feature of the all mammals, presence of mammary glands. So they are mainly derived from the sweat glands, and they are of compound type, secular shape में जो है वो sac like होते हैं, and they secrete the milk to nourish the young ones. And here you can see the VS of the skin. On the upper side, epidermis layers are present. Stratified yani layers of epidermis are there. Stratium corneum, lucidum, granulosum, spinosum, malpighi. All these are the layers of epidermis. Below the epidermis is the dermis. showing the different type of fibers, blood vessels, matrix, etc. Here you can also see the bulb of hair, hair protruding out of the epidermis, sweat gland is there, and below the dermis is the layer of adipose tissue. Another body wall, next layer is the, after the skin, there comes the muscular layer, which is below the skin, and it is thicker and on the dorsal side than on the ventral side. And in the body wall, after the muscular layer, comes the peritoneum. Very important feature of the coelomate animals. It is a thin shining membrane on the inner side of the body wall, and it is mainly formed of flat mesodermal cells, and it forms the outer covering of the coelom. Any body cavity which is covered by the peritoneal lining is the true coelom. एंड सिलोम क्या है? ये एक बॉडी कैविटी है present in the trunk region of the body, and it is covered by the parietal peritoneum on the outer side and visceral peritoneum on the inner side. और रैट में जो सिलोम है वो दो कैविटीज में डिवाइडेड है, दो पार्ट्स में डिवाइडेड है, एंटीरियर थोरेसिक कैविटी एंड पोस्टीरियर एब्डोमिनल कैविटी. और दोनों कैविटीज जो हैं दे आर सेपरेटेड बाय ए डायफ्राम which is a muscular horizontal septum which separates both the cavities. Now we will discuss the digestive system of the rat. Digestive system of rat comprises of two parts, alimentary canal and digestive glands. First of all, we will study alimentary canal. Alimentary canal is a long tube which connects mouth with the anus, and it is complete in case of rat. Now the mouth, it is subterminal in position, and it is guarded by two soft and movable lips. Upper lip has a vertical cleft in it. एक छोटी सी उसमें कट सा होता है अपर लिप पे, जिसकी वजह से इंसाइजर्स बाहर दिखते हैं, and this upper lip is called as hair lip. Now the second part of the alimentary canal is the vestibule. It is the space present between the lips and the jaws. Third part of the alimentary canal is the buccal cavity, and it is the space between jaw and pharynx, and it contains variety of structures in it. Palate. Roof of buccal cavity and pharynx is called as palate. Anterior part of this palate is strengthened by bones, and it is called as hard palate, and posterior part is fleshy, and it is called as soft palate. And a small flap also hangs from the soft palate, which is called as uvula, and this uvula contains the different transverse ridges on it, which are called as rugae. Next part of the buccal cavity is the tongue, which is a fleshy and highly muscular structure present in the buccal cavity. Upper surface of the tongue is the highly associated with the presence of many papillas, and it is raised, but lower surface is smooth, and the tongue helps in ingestion of the food, chewing and swallowing of the food. Now we will discuss the teeth. Teeth are hard structure present in the buccal cavity, and they are dermal in origin, and in rats they are used for gnawing. जो rats कुतरता है food को, that is called as gnawing, और उसके लिए use होते हैं teeth. Both the jaws are provided by teeth, and arrangement of teeth in the jaws is called as dentition. कि किस तरह से teeth जो हैं jaws में arrange होते हैं, this process is called as dentition. And in dentition is thecodont, heterodont and diphyodont. वो क्या होता है कि when teeth are embedded deep in the sockets of jaws with the help of roots, this type of dentition is called as thecodont. Heterodont क्या है? There are different types of teeth are present: incisors, canines, premolars, and molars in an animal. And what is diphyodont? There are two sets of teeth are present during the life. For example, milk teeth and permanent teeth. जो मिल्क टीथ है वो शेड हो जाते हैं, डेसिडुअस टीथ होते हैं, खत्म हो जाते हैं, और उसके बाद कौन से आ जाते हैं? Permanent teeth. And this type of dentition is called as diphyodont. And in rat, only two types of teeth are present: incisors and molars. Canines and premolars are absent. इनके डेंटल फॉर्मूला में यहाँ पे 0 0 लिखा हुआ है, इट मीन्स दे आर एब्सेंट. और वन half has one incisor and molar में 3. So this is the dental formula of uh, rat: 1003 divided by 1003, and total teeth are 16 in case of rat. And the space which is created by the absence of canines and premolars is called as diastema. This is the diastema. Now the typical structure of tooth you can see in this diagram. Tooth is made up of three parts: crown, neck, and root. Crown is the exposed part of the tooth, जो कि हमें दिखाई देता है. Shining part, which is made up of enamel. Hard structure है enamel, shining white hard substance है. और उसके नीचे एक bone like substance present होता है enamel के, which is called as dentine. तो इसके बाद there is a pulp cavity present in the tooth, जहां से सारी ब्लड वेसल्स जाती है, कनेक्टिव टिश्यू फाइबर्स जाते हैं, नर्व्स जाती हैं टीथ की. नाउ नेक्स्ट इज द नेक. तो नेक इज मेनली कवर्ड बाय द गम. जो फ्लैशी स्ट्रक्चर होता है गम, उससे कवर्ड होता है नेक. और इसके साथ ही रूट इज एम्बेडेड इन द सॉकेट ऑफ द जॉ बोन with the help of a bone like structure which is called as cementum. So this is the typical structure of tooth. Now the next part of the alimentary canal is the pharynx. The buccal cavity opens into a short conical part, pharynx. It has three parts: nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. Nasopharynx is mainly associated with the respiratory system because it has internal nares in its roof, eustachian canals on its sides, and pharyngeal tonsils are also present in the nasopharynx. Next is the oropharynx. It is mainly associated with the passage of food. And laryngopharynx, it has two apertures, glottis and posterior gullet. तो ग्लोटिस की जो दो अपर्चर्स है, ग्लोटिस एंड पोस्टीरियर ग्लैंड, तो एक अपर्चर जो ग्लोटिस है, इट लीड्स इनटू द ट्रेकिया और विंड पाइप, तो मेनली एसोसिएटेड विद द रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम, प्रोड्यूसिंग ऑफ साउंड in case of rat. And during the digestion of food, this glottis is covered by the epiglottis. और जो गलेट है, posterior part है laryngopharynx में, it is associated with the oesophagus and food pipe. तो गलेट के ओपनिंग से जो pharynx है वो oesophagus में ओपन होता है, which is a narrow straight tube, running tube. Next is the stomach, which consists of three parts: cardiac stomach, body, and pyloric stomach. You can see in this diagram esophagus, stomach, उसके बाद parts of different small intestine and large intestine, and ultimately rectum and anus. तो esophagus के बाद stomach होता है जिसके तीन part होते हैं: cardiac stomach, body and pyloric stomach. Small intestine के तीन parts होते हैं: duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Ileum से different projections निकलती हैं which are called as villi. तो villi is the main unit for the absorption of food. उसकी वजह से surface area बढ़ जाता है और यहाँ पर food जो है absorb होता है. Stomach और small intestine में digestion भी होती है through different digestive glands, which we'll study next. And ileum में absorption of food होता है. लार्ज इंटेस्टाइन के 3 पार्ट्स हैं, सीकम, कॉलन एंड रेक्टम. Next, we will discuss digestive glands present in the rat. These glands are associated with the alimentary canal, and different type of digestive juices are secreted by these glands, जिनकी वजह से digestion में help मिलती है. तो वो कौन कौन से glands present हैं rat में? First is the salivary glands. Salivary glands are total 3 pairs present in the oral cavity of the rat. They secrete the saliva containing the enzyme salivary amylase, which acts on the starch. तो 3 glands कौन-कौन से salivary glands? Parotid glands, submaxillary glands, and sublingual glands. Next is the gastric glands. As the name suggests कि gastric glands कहाँ present होंगे? Stomach में. तो ये mucosa में present है, mucosal lining में stomach के, और 3 type के होते हैं ये भी, cardiac, पाइलरिक और फंडिक. ये कार्डियक पोर्शन का स्टमक में कार्डियक ग्लैंड्स, पाइलरिक पार्ट ऑफ द स्टमक पाइलरिक ग्लैंड्स, और बॉडी प्रॉपर फंडिंग ग्लैंड्स. और जो कार्डियक ग्लैंड्स हैं वो एल्कलाइन म्यूकस सिक्रीट करते हैं. पाइलरिक ग्लैंड्स जो हैं वो एल्कलाइन म्यूकस, दे आल्सो सिक्रीट द एल्कलाइन म्यूकस. और फंडिक ग्लैंड्स में डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ सेल्स होते हैं, जैसे चीफ सेल्स और पेप्टिक सेल्स, जो कि 2 प्रो एंजाइम सिक्रीट करते हैं, पेप्सिनोजन एंड प्रोरेनिन, और एक एंजाइम सिक्रीट करते हैं, गैस्ट्रिक लाइपेज. और इसी तरह से ऑक्जेंटिक सेल्स आर आल्सो प्रेजेंट इन द फंडिक ग्लैंड्स, दे सिक्रीट द एचसीएल. और गॉबलेट सेल्स हैं, दे सिक्रीट द म्यूकस. And argentefin cells are also present in the fundic part of the gastric gland. They secrete gastrin hormone. तो इन सभी का secretion जो इकट्ठे बनाता है gastric juice. Next is the intestinal glands. In the wall of intestine, 2 types के mainly ये, crypts of Lieberkuchen and Brunner's gland. ये आपको इस डायग्राम में दिख भी रहे हैं सारे, ये Brunner's glands present हैं. और ये crypts of Lieberkuchen. तो crypts of Lieberkuchen, they secrete the digestive enzymes and mucus, और Brunner's gland, they secrete the alkaline watery juice. और इस पूरे को इकट्ठे कहते हैं intestinal juices. तो जो पूरा म्यूकोसा एलिमेंट्री कैनाल का वो म्यूकस भी सिक्रीट करता है, तो फूड बोलस वो धीरे धीरे अंदर आता जाता है, और स्टमक से होता हुआ, इंटेस्टाइन से होता हुआ वो आगे बढ़ता है. Next gland is the liver gland. It is present just behind the diaphragm and divided into 4 lobes. You can see the diagram of liver here. So liver has 4 lobes: left lateral lobe, left central lobe, right central lobe, and caudate lobe. Different lobes you can see in this diagram. Next gland is the pancreas. It is present in the loop of duodenum, and it has both the parts, exocrine and endocrine parts. Exocrine part जो है, it forms the bulk of the gland, and endocrine part is called as islets of Langerhans. Now we will discuss the questions associated with this part of the type study of rat. First of all, we will discuss the multiple choice questions. And answer key to these multiple choice questions is given in the end. First question is, what is the litter size of rat? 4 to 6, 5 to 7, 7 to 10, or 2 to 4? And the right answer is B, 5 to 7. लिटर साइज मतलब कि रैट एक टाइम में कितने यंग वंस प्रोड्यूस कर सकता है, तो एक टाइम में इट कैन रिप्रोड्यूस 5 to 7 young ones. Next question is, what is the dental formula of rat? So different formulas are given, but the right answer is C, 1003 divided by 1003. क्योंकि 2 जगह 0 है, अभी मैंने आपको इससे पहले बताया था कि इसमें canines और premolars are absent, और that space is called as diastema, and total जो टीथ है रैट में, दे आर 16. Third question is, in female rat, how many pairs of mammary glands are present? 6 pairs, 4 pairs, 3 pairs or 2 pairs? The right answer is 6 pairs. 3 in thoracic area and 3 are in abdominal area. Next question is, which of the following is the scientific name of black rat? Rattus rattus, Rattus norvegicus, Rattus multata या Bandicota bengalensis? तो राइट आंसर इज Rattus rattus. जो टाइप स्टडी हम स्टडी कर रहे हैं वो ब्लैक रैट की है, Rattus rattus. जो Rattus norvegicus है वो ब्राउन रैट होता है. Scales in rat are present in tail, forelimb, head and hind limb. तो ये आपने इंटेग्यूमेंट्स के जब डेरिवेटिव्स पढ़े थे तब स्केल में मैंने डिस्कस किया था. स्केल्स आर प्रेजेंट इन टेल ओनली. तो राइट आंसर इज ए. Diastema is found in man, rat, both of the above, none of the above. तो डायस्टेमा मैंने क्या बताया था अभी कि जो एब्सेंस ऑफ टीथ की वजह से स्पेस हो जाता है, दैट इज द डायस्टेमा. और वो सिर्फ रैट में है क्योंकि इसमें कैनाइंस और प्रीमोलार्स एब्सेंट होते हैं, मैन में ऐसा नहीं होता है. तो राइट आंसर इज बी, रैट. This is the answer key to these questions. Now we will discuss the very short answer questions. Question number 1 is, what is the function of vibrissae in rat? Question number 2 is, what is pelage? Question number 3 is, what is diaphragm? Next question is, write the dental formula of rat. Question number 5 is, how many lobe liver is present in rat? Now a few short answer questions associated with this part. Question number 1 is, describe the epidermis of rat. Question number 2 is, give an account of dentition of rat. Third one is, explain the structure of liver of rat. Here are a few long answer questions. Question number 1 is, describe the external characters of rat. Question number 2 is, describe the integumentary system of rat. And next question is, explain in detail digestive system of rat. Thank you.